I got like
Oh, yeah.
fish, but I didn't have a way of like cooking my fish, so I was like just sitting here with all this raw fish in my hands, like what the hell am I supposed to do with this in the
Just
day?
eat them sashimi
Make
style.
sashimi.
Sashimi, yeah, I
Yeah,
tried that
see?
and I think I got sick.
Hey, you want to watch the first 20 minutes of The Lion King 1 before we take it away?
Well,
It's a little
Yeah.
different. It's not like, hey, you want to try like a bite of the McRib, but only that partial piece of the sandwich? Maybe you just get the rib, but not the whole sandwich before we take it away?
a few minutes of racing can feel like an eternity, though. So,
Nathan is feeling like he's in eternity right
oh
now.
my god. Alex! How are you doing
Hello.
tonight?
I'm a little tired, but I'm gonna try not to look bored for the camera.
That's terrific. I appreciate you trying the bare minimum.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes this is just my face, and we have to accept that.
He's got resting bored face, and we should just accept that. Anyway, welcome to Total Pebble Knockdown. I am Nathan.
I am Alex, and today on the show we have our long time and many on the show time guest and friend, KlaytonCalix.
Basically, I'm a reoccurring contributor at this point.
Yes, you are the video game expert that we bring on once in a while to discuss.
In quotation marks with
Yes.
an asterisk.
Yes.
Asterisk. And a disclaimer
Yeah.
going across the screen.
Rates may not apply in all regions.
May or may not be an actual video game expert.
Right. But we actually had
May not
some.
be a real human.
We don't really know. Maybe you're part cyborg.
Maybe.
Who really knows? We wanted to bring you on because there's a couple specific things about video games that are happening right now that we wanted to discuss. So we should probably just get right on into that.
Because it's Next Fest.
It is. It is indeed Next Fest, or I guess I should say
Wow.
that we just had Next Fest. We just had Next
Basically.
Fest summer 2024, and we played a good number of demos. Klayton, how many demos, just ballpark, do you think you've played for Next Fest?
I'm going to be honest. This Next Fest, I actually played less demos than I did when we talked about February's Steam Next Fest.
Really?
So I played about 12 games.
I logged in 12 myself.
I played like 6.
And Alex played about 6. My original plan was to play like 6. But then I had a little bit of time, and so I started going through some other stuff that I had. Basically just stuff that was on my wish list already.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, oh, there's demos for things I already thought were going to be interesting. I'll just try those. and a couple others
See
that
where it
came
goes.
along. Yeah, a couple others that came along in the meantime.
My aim was to try to hit 20 to 30 like I did last time, and then just keep the ones that I really enjoyed as uploads.
Yeah.
And the batch that I got, and when I say got, is, I always put the call outs on social media of looking for games, tag me no more.
Yeah.
The ones I got were some interesting choices this time around.
Yeah, I try to play a fairly good variety of different genres, so that I'm trying out some things in a lot of different ones that might interest me. Overall, I wasn't as impressed with some of the ones that I played that I thought I was gonna. I didn't like them as much as I thought I was, and then I did get surprised by one or two, so that was good.
Or
Same
definitely
here.
a couple I tried to. One, for instance, just had a weird control scheme that was meant for, I think Klayton and I had talked about this before. One of them was like, it was set up for controllers, but it had keyboard and mouse support, but it was really wonky.
Mm.
And then another one that I tried was full keyboard, but utilized the arrow keys. And I was like, what was this decision?
That's definitely odd. I would say, before we all get into the game that we really played, the strangest one that I played
Mm.
was called Push the Cat with WASD. It's basically a puzzle game where there's just text on the screen,
Yeah.
and you use the WASD keys to move the cat, or to move the letters to move the cat into the goal.
Okay.
It's
Great.
definitely interesting, and I love puzzles.
Yeah.
But this one was too much for my brain. Too much puzzle, too much thinking involved. And the second one, which I don't know how you two feel about mobile games, but this Steam game I found out is also on mobile, and I've played it more on mobile than I actually have played it on Steam. And it's called Teeny Tiny Town, and it's basically a merge game, but it's cute.
Oh,
and
okay.
It's an absolute time killer. That's what it is.
I don't do mobile games.
What was the one, though, that you really wanted to highlight for us tonight?
I actually have two. The second one is a little bit more weird. But the one that I want to talk about the most is that we all know Deep Rock Galactic.
Yep.
And games with mining and exploration.
And dwarves.
Well, this game is called Drill Core, and it is a strategy colony sim exploration roguelike game. So it's got all these unique elements in them. The description on their Steam page says corporate greed meets strategic planet mining in Drill Core. You're drilling to the heart of planets while managing workers, researching cutting-edge tech, and fortifying your platform against alien attacks. So you have to figure out your balance of fortifying your defenses, because you get attacked every wave, every time night happens in this underground cavern.
Sure.
To mining resources down below you.
Midnight Acres all over again.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot, and management games like that, I'm not the greatest in. Managing your workers, trying to keep them alive, like you don't starve. Not you don't starve, like your oxygen is not included in games like that.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at those kind of games. But roguelikes, I'm decent at. So you basically, the game is you have a platform, and you put up buildings in that platform that you have access to based on the resources that you gather in the mines below. And you can build more workers. So like, let's say like the barracks, right? You build one barracks, your workers all come out of that. The more barracks you build, the faster they build. The shorter the queue time is for them. The same is for other structures. And then along the walls, above your platform, you build your defenses, your turrets, your launchers, your anti-alien structures.
Sure.
So it's almost like a Space Invader-esque kind of.
Oh, okay.
And then some buildings you build gives you unique abilities, such as one can freeze enemies in place for X amount of seconds. There's another one where if you drop it on top of your weapons, they fire exponentially faster for X amount of seconds.
Space Invaders plus like dig down below you for resources. I have watched someone else do a gameplay. This is pre-Next Fest. Someone that did videos, I had seen it getting played, and I was like, oh, that's an interesting concept.
As someone who's played a lot of Deep Rock Galactic, up to 4-player, and Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, which is the top-down roguelike, I really enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would.
What is your kind of like general gameplay loop that they get you into? Is it doing like your mining and then you do your colony defense piece, and do you go back and forth, or do you kind of do them all at the same time?
So the way the day-night cycle in this game works is when your workers wake up, you can go down into the mines below. Your drillers will drill. You have 3 different types of units that I've unlocked so far, or that I've played with so far. I don't know if there's more beyond that. But there's your drillers, who will go out and mine wherever you click on the tiles. There's another unit that picks up everything that the miners dig out. So if you dig up resources, they'll go down into the mines, pick it up, bring it back to the base. And then there's your guards, who will go down there and kill aliens should they happen to spawn in there, which they do from the rocks in that area. So if you don't mine out the rocks, it'll spawn an alien. And there's audio cues, there's visual cues that'll let you know. And then when the night cycle comes, you send all your units home, because it gets a lot more dangerous in the mines at night. But then aliens come down from above. So your defenses that you set up on the side are to protect your core. If the core is destroyed, you lose.
The demo itself, does it have much in way of like time limits or anything? Like how much time were you able to actually spend with it?
The first run that I didn't do very well. The second run I did a lot better. So I definitely got better the longer it progressed. And once I figured out, I should employ this strategy to this strategy. Because it doesn't do a lot of hand-holding, which I do enjoy in a game. Like, they don't, the tutorial thing is like, you have to do this whole tutorial, and this is how everything goes, and, you kind of just want to jump in the action. There's a little bit of a tutorial, but it does, for the most part, let you jump into the action right away. which is pleasantly surprising for a demo. And also it makes sense for a roguelike, because that's kind of how you learn in games like this. You learn through trial and error. You learn through dying. Maybe I should have done this way instead.
That is the one thing about roguelikes that you just kind of have to accept on the outset.
Yeah, and you can employ... And you can employ different strategies. You're like, maybe I want to be more about the mining and less about defense.
Sure.
Well, we know how this is going to work in the end. Or you can prioritize more defenses over your mining ability.
Absolutely.
But for this game, it's definitely more about trying to find that balance for the most part, but tilting the scale on one way over the other a little bit.
If it's a roguelike, is there a point where basically you run ends because the aliens overtake you and then you die and then you have to start over again? Okay.
Yes, so each day-night cycle, the alien waves that come down is going to be more intense.
When you do die, are there like permanent upgrades? Like, is it a roguelite so that there are some things that you are able to use that come across in the next wave? Or is it like a pure roguelike where no such luck? You start from scratch every single time? Sometimes what they will do is they will allow you to unlock new options that might occur as random things in the dungeons, like new guns and stuff that will actually show up.
Right.
But not necessarily permanent upgrades. I played one called Wall World that I liked a lot, and that also had the idea of mining and then using what you mine to upgrade your little wall crawler so that you can fight off like alien waves and invasions. And that did have a whole permanent upgrade system where you come across blueprints, and then when you come across the blueprints and unlock those, you can then, when you die and you go back out to the regular world, you can actually use some of like your premium currency in order to, unlock those so that you're just better at stuff when you go back in.
Actually, there is upgrades in the main menu.
Haha.
So, yeah, you do have that.
So it's roguelite.
Light.
Yeah.
I prefer those, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if I
Let me have
mentioned this
some
yet.
progression.
It does not have a release date. It has. It just says to be announced on the Steam page. About 100,000 players, it looks like, during the next fest, and their playtest. But I'm guessing they might have had a playtest prior to next fest.
Sure.
But on Steam, they posted a notice 3 days ago, on the 18th. For those who are watching this in the future, that they had a monumental of 100,000 players, and that their demo was the most played during the event.
Was
I
it?
blame people who make videos also for some of that. Like, I think Real Civil Engineer played it. So, like, people, when they push them out to those big YouTubers to do videos, they kind of get a lot of views.
Yeah.
Yep. And then a lot of people were like, I want to try this game out for myself.
Would you say that was your favorite game from the Next Fest?
Honestly, I think so. I enjoy games that involve mining resources. I like shiny rocks in real life. So.
And you said that there was one other one that you wanted to talk about, and you are the guest, so I can allow you to. It's fine.
Yes, this
I
was.
appreciate it. We all fell in love with the game Power World, and it's kind of fallen off a little bit. It's had an update. It has a raid that's out, but that's not what we're talking about. We're going to be talking about a game that's kind of in that vein. This game is basically Stardew Valley meets Pokemon, and it is called Ova Magica. It is a wholesome JRPG farming game that's inspired by the classics, as it says on its Steam page. There are no pals in this game. There are no Pokemon in this game. There are no Digimon in this game.
Well, that's good.
The creatures that you have are blobs.
Love me some blobs.
Yes.
They're not
slimes.
Okay.
They're blobs. And the blobs have
blobs.
different elements. They have different looks to them. The looks of them are kind of cool and kind of cute.
Sure.
Especially when you go through the demo video and through their postings that they've made. This game's coming out. So it says July 23rd, 2024.
Okay.
In about 4 weeks. But it's a life sim. It's got fishing. It's got crafting. Build up your little farm. Train your blobs. You can battle other people. What's also really cool that I saw, your blobs, I don't know how many you can use at once, but you can have them work on your farm apparently.
Ooh.
So if you have like a water-based blob, you can have that water your plants for you.
Oh, cool.
So you don't have to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so it's taking those Power World vibes.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Then there's a bunch of bachelor and bachelorettes, so you got your Stardew in there.
You gotta have your waifus and your husbandus. That sounds good.
They have the battle system, which is like your Pokemon. There's expeditions. So you don't necessarily have to just live the farm life, apparently. If you want to go out and explore dungeons and explore the world, you can absolutely do that too.
Sure.
There's also a breeding system.
Oh, of course.
With your waifu?
No, with your blobs.
Okay, just
Okay,
check.
you know what? I just want to
breeding.
clarify something. You are not breeding with your blobs. Your blobs are breeding with each other.
Oh, okay.
All
I'm
right,
glad
just
that we
making sure.
clarified this. We clarified
We're
said
about,
this.
to get into
JRPG.
we're about to get into some territory.
Ah, okay, exactly.
Listen,
Well,
you said JRPG, and I got concerned when you said breeding.
There's a blob league. There's activities in this game.
There's
So
a blob league. Is
Yeah,
there a
like
blob
a Pokemon
card game?
league.
Is there a blob card game that you can play as in the tavern?
if this game gets popular enough, I
Yeah.
would not be surprised if I saw in the future
Oh man,
an over Magica card game. that's
that
like
would be great. Is the combat turn-based or is it real-time?
No, it's turn based.
It's
It's not real time. It's like your Pokemon.
okay. They're taking classic Pokemon. Okay,
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, because I only did like one battle in there.
so it's like boy and his blob, but starts a farm. Yeah, that's fun.
Or female,
Yeah, girl
depending
and
on
your
what you pick
blob.
in the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because like I said, it's bachelor and bachelorettes.
sure.
The art style is very cute. It was hard for me to try to pin down like what the art style in this game reminded me of,
Mm.
and I still really can't. I think the closest thing that I can get to is maybe like the Dragon Quest style in terms of the environment, not like the characters. 'Cause the characters in Dragon Quest remind me a lot of Dragon Ball. The strangest thing about this demo are the way the characters in the game stand.
Oh, okay.
When you see it, you're fully gonna understand. Like they don't stand up straight. They the way they stand is like they stand with their knees bent a little bit, and like their booty sticking out in a sense. It's almost like they're gonna try and perform a squat.
Perfect.
It is the strangest thing.
Nice.
Gotta work on that rigging, I guess.
Yeah. But other than that, I thought the game was a lot of fun. Definitely something that I'm probably gonna pick up. I do enjoy games like this. I'm more than likely gonna pick up this game when it comes out in 4 weeks. Like it.
Cool.
Steam says it's similar to games I played, like Stardew Valley and Moonstone Island, combined over 200 hours between both games.
Nice. Excellent. I know the
Well,
feeling.
I'm curious because, like, if you can play it just as like a Pokemon game, that is interesting to me because I never liked the Stardew formula a whole lot.
Yeah.
I know Nathan's put hundreds of hours into Stardew. Like I've put over 400 hours into Pokemon Omega Ruby.
Alex.
Hello.
Yeah. Out of the 6 games that you played, did you have one that you'd like to talk to a little bit about?
Yeah. So I know both of you have also played this game, so I'm not going to take up too much time talking about it. But the game I wanted to talk about was, I believe it's probably. I'm going to say that I think it's pronounced Aska because it's Vikings and Aska sounds weird to me. But unless they give me a pronunciation guide or some sort of,
a Berlitz class or something?
some kind of grammar marking, I'm going to pronounce it however the hell I want. But anyways, since you guys have both played it, this is mostly for anyone listening who didn't play it. Aska is a Valheim clone. I'm going to say it right out the gate. It's very liberally taking from the formula and feeling of Valheim. But what I found interesting about the game was I thought the visuals were a lot nicer than Valheim's personally. Very pretty. It was really the world generation, everything was gorgeous. Klayton had said earlier it reminded him more of a New World Valheim mix.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
it did.
I would say, yeah, I get that. The visuals from the style of New World, where the world is very pretty.
And it feels alive around you. Like in
Yeah,
this
and
game,
you-
you can hear the creatures around you. You can hear stuff in the distance.
I didn't check to see if you could swim. Did
You
either
can.
of you check?
You
You
can.
can?
You can.
Instantly better than New World already.
Yeah, you can
You still
swim.
can't swim in New World.
Yeah.
I didn't check that. I didn't think to check that.
I did.
Um,
There was a little spot, like a little like cove or something, and I was like, "Oh, what if you could swim in this game?" You know, and I went through the water at night, and it was like, "You're really cold now," and I was like, "Of course I am." I swam in the water at night.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I liked about it was that you had skills that you could gain. Although I know the game is now in early access, and I hope that there's either some way you can customize your character aside from looks when you make them, because they have stats. Either customize them at build or like give us a little bit more information about our skills that we've gained, because it's like you have wood cutting 7, and it doesn't give you any information on what that does for you. Like, does this increase the damage I do to trees, the speed I can do it, the stamina reduction? So I'd like to see a little bit more clarity in some of it. What I liked about it was that instead of like Valheim, where you're kind of building your structures piece by piece, it was like, hey, I'm going to put a shelter down. I'm going to build this building and upgrade this building. And it's collect the parts, put them in the building, and then build it. And then if you need to do a stage 2, you do that kind of deal. As opposed to trying to freeform build creatively.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that's a lot nicer.
Sure.
It's like, how do I make this work? It's fine if they add that in too, but I liked that it let me kind of go, okay, I just want this building that has this purpose already baked into it.
The building is like that because it's kind of like a colony sim too.
Yeah.
Because you can have villagers
absolutely.
come in and take up, space and stuff, and they can do work.
Yes.
So I
And
understand what
also
you mean,
enjoy
and
that.
I found like the build system a little weird. I mean, I only played it for like an hour, so it's like I haven't really dug into the meat of it. But at first glance, yeah, the build system seems a bit odd.
I think I played for like maybe 6 hours or so.
Sure. That sounds about right. I probably played for like 4 or 5. Maybe 4 or 5.
So I
yeah.
think the cool thing with that is you can upgrade the buildings too. Like even the
your
basic
fire.
campfire.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can then make it a bigger fire and then put a rain cover over it and then add a barbecue to it.
Yeah.
Right.
So that,
I think
it's got more functionality.
And I think that was really good on them to do that, because you're not being like, oh, I have to place this upgraded campfire, so I got to destroy my old one so I can put in the improved one.
Yeah.
They did it to where you can actually upgrade your settlement and things around you. And like he said, you want to put a thing over your fire so it stays protected, or you want to put like some twigs and some branches over it so you can be like, you can skewer stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the same way with the shelters, you have your basic shelters, you put a top, you make it bigger. I really like that in a game, and I'm glad that they did that in this.
Yeah.
One of the other things I really liked was that you can get colonists. You can get you're rebuilding your clan or your village. So you can have these people with their own sets of skills come in and do work for you, which is really cool. I don't know if you got to a lot of that, Klayton. I know, Nathan, you said you played probably several hours, so you probably did get some of that.
I've gotten a couple people working for me, yeah.
So how does that work? Because I actually didn't, because I think it was,
Sure.
you can start getting attacked by enemies if you do that, and I was like, I don't know if I want to experience that yet.
Yeah.
I think you get attacked regardless. I mean, I feel like I was getting attacked before I had anybody even in my colony.
I didn't. I only had like that beach creature. I mean, I explored the island, and like I found this one creature in an area who chased me down, who was big and purple.
Sure.
But he didn't chase me. He didn't chase me forever.
Grimace.
Once I got far enough, he just screwed off and went back to wherever he was going.
The enemy variety was a little lacking, at least for me, on the outset. I liked the enemy design, except for the zombies kind of just looked like zombies. But the little like wisp characters that look like the little twig wisps and stuff, I mean, I thought that was kind of cool. Like they were trying to lean into the lore and the mythos. As far as the colonists go, it was kind of interesting. You do is it the Eye of Odin? I want to say it is.
The Eye of Jotun.
Jotun, sorry. The Eye of Jotun. And
Jotun or Jotun, or however it's pronounced.
Yeah.
Jotunheim, maybe it's Jotun.
Yeah,
But-
Jotunheim, I think.
Yeah.
Jotun. It could be.
But at any rate, so you're basically collecting these little gems because there's, certain rocks around the world that you can harvest them from. And you collect enough of them, you get 5 in a row, you can put them on into there, and then you get a choice of 2 different villagers that you can ask to come to your place. And then there's a timer after you do that, and you have to wait, I think, 10 minutes, and then they show up on your door. And they have
basically you summon them in.
Yeah, and then they have certain benefits, and then they have certain cons that are put on them. Like some of them eat more, or they're not very effective in certain weather conditions. But maybe they're really good at harvesting wood, or they're really good at working in the workshop or whatever it is.
And you can pick between two villagers. You said
2.
So it's kind of like. I mean, the only thing I can compare it to, which is a game I'm absolutely terrible at, but I love Clay games, is auctions are not included.
Oh,
you get your dupes. They have their pros and their cons and their qualities, and you gotta like figure out what you really want out of it. And you're like, oh, this dude's kind of a glutton, but he's really good at blacksmithing. So
Yeah, it's very similar to that concept, where these guys will come in. And it'll show you like 2 of the traits they have, and then 3 more will be like,
oh, unlockable.
Oh, so it's a surprise.
I don't know if they're
once you accept
unlockable,
them.
but they're definitely a surprise. I don't think that you need to unlock them, but you don't get to see them beforehand. So it's like you're taking a gamble, but like it's okay.
I would say that makes the game more interesting.
Sure, it does
in a sense, because you're just like, it's a crapshoot.
So when you get your colonists, you can assign them to different buildings. For instance, you can give them a home, a shelter. You can assign them to, like, I had one guy, I was like, yeah, you're going to go do wood stuff. You're going to go collect wood. So you set them to the forestry or whatever, the wood cutters. They will go out in the radius of it. They will chop trees, collect twigs, collect all the wood materials. Even if you chop down a tree, they'll go out and collect it, bring it back to the building, which then works as a storehouse for all of those materials.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's nice.
And when you upgrade the building, because I did try that one to see what would happen when I upgrade the woodcutters one, it increases the storage and lets you store more material of different, like, additional material. Like, I think that lets you then store, like, resin as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so it's like, okay, cool. That's interesting, because I basically set a guy to go work at that for a while, and then once it was full, I was like, cool, go do something else. I don't need any more of this. Like, if you can take them off their assignment to that, and they'll just build. They'll just do building stuff. Or you can set them to, like, gather a set, and they'll just go out and gather.
Yeah.
When it comes to woodcutting, I actually have a question, because you 2 played longer than I have. Is it like Valheim? If it falls and hits you or your NPC, will you take damage?
I don't think so.
I did not find anywhere they fell on me and killed me, so
no.
I'm okay with that.
I might give the demo another spin and try to see if I can get conked on the head by a tree that's falling.
Yeah.
I don't think you can.
I think it pretty much just collapses down wherever it is and then just splits into the actual resources. There are different grades of trees, which is important. So your like starter axe can't actually cut down trees that are
the big
hardwoods,
ones.
like hardwoods and stuff, and then you can get a big axe where you can do some more.
It gives you those New World vibes you were talking about, where you have to upgrade your axe to be able to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is fine.
I mean, it's understandable. We've had that in a lot of farming sim type games. You know, you have to do the same thing in Stardew Valley.
Yeah, in order to do certain things, if you want to get hardwood, you have to upgrade to, I think, at least the silver level of the axe. So,
yeah,
that's perfectly.
Not a game breaker. Yeah.
No. Something that I did like about the base building aspect, though, is I noticed as you get more people, it almost feels like the game, like the gameplay seems to shift for Aska, because it starts out where it feels a lot like a survival crafting game, and then once you start to get into like the actual colony building, it is more of the management of trying to make sure everybody is on assignments and doing things in town, so that you have that kind of changeover. And I think it came at a good time too, because I was starting to get really tired of the tedium of having to collect all of the resources and start building it. And then the second I started getting colonists, I was like, okay, well, this is handy, because I need somebody to go and do that work, because I can't keep just spending all my time doing that.
Right. It takes some of the tedium out of it, which is similar in the vein where we were talking about Power World a little bit ago, for the OVA game, where if I can have these other people assigned to do this thing,
Yeah.
it frees me up to go do other things that I would like to do in the game.
Right.
Like, I want to go explore, but I also need tons of food to feed my guys. All right, set up a couple people to go work and collect food, and now I don't got to worry about it. I'm free to go explore.
Right.
So it gives you a little bit
Yeah.
of that automation without being like a factory game, which
So you
is
could get
which
you
is
could,
nice.
you could theoretically get your base set up to where it's self-sustaining and they take care of themselves while you're like gone for like maybe an hour, however big your world is, because there is also seed generation.
The other thing that's kind of interesting about that, which would be interesting to see in the full game, because I could see some mechanics that didn't really get fleshed out, like they give you seeds, but there's no way to do farming right now, as far as I can tell in
Yeah.
the game.
At
But
least not in the demo.
not in
There
the
might
demo.
be in the early release version.
And
but-
I got like
Oh, yeah.
fish, but I didn't have a way of like cooking my fish, so I was like just
Yeah.
sitting here with all this raw fish in my hands, like what the hell am I supposed to do with this in the
just
demo?
eat them sashimi
Make
style.
sashimi.
Sashimi. Yeah, I
Yeah,
tried that
see?
and I think I got sick. The point of the matter is that they have a system in Aska basically where you can say if you want to design something that's unlocked, you want to put up these borders, you want to put up more housing or something, you don't have to have the resources available. The schematics just go into a place and you can just add materials to it. So theoretically, once you get like a bunch of colonists, you could go to a place for your colony and say, okay, I want to build a wall here, I want to have a gate here, wall around here, I want to build a farm here and do all of that. Set down the schematics, and then set people to assignments to collect all the materials and build it, walk away, go do your adventure or whatever, come back, and they will have already taken care of all of it, theoretically.
Theory, yeah. So I
In
think that's cool.
theory.
'Cause it's like, all right, cool. You guys, I've planned out what you guys need to do.
Yeah.
Please do it. I'll be back.
Yeah. I'm
Also, we forgot to mention that this game is also multiplayer, up to 3 other players.
Yes.
It says
It's
Also
their
similar
Steam
to
page
Valheim.
says solo or together with up to 3 friends.
Yeah.
Valheim you can have more than 3 with, I think, a mod.
Yeah. For this, you might end up being able to do more with a mod too, but out of the gate, it definitely is like you were saying, Alex. It really would love to be Valheim, but it does have a few interesting mechanics of its own.
I think I liked it more than Valheim. I did get Valheim not that long ago, and I just wasn't as into it.
Yeah.
But this one, I was like, oh, okay, no, it's adding some of these things that I actually think I like. So I might
It does have some
wait a
interesting
little bit, and
mechanics.
then I know it's an early release right now, but I might wait a little bit and then actually pick it up. So
Well, that's good. The game that I was going to talk about was not actually like my favorite game from Next Fest. That would either be Flintlock or Blacksmith Master. But those are not very interesting to talk about, honestly, because Blacksmith Master is very similar to Tavern Master, just with blacksmithing, and Flintlock is kind of like a Souls-light game where you get to fire pistols and stuff, which is cool, but I don't really have much that I really can discuss about it. The one I wanted to talk to you about today was the most unique game out of all of them, and it was called Goblin Cleanup. I'm trying to think how I describe this game. You imagine that in a classic fantasy setting, there are dungeons, and you have heroes that go to, like, storm the dungeon, take out the enemies, they run through all of the traps and everything so that they can get the loot, and then leave, or die in the dungeon. This game begs the question, okay, but between the different heroes running through this dungeon, what happens? How does the dungeon get back into the shape that it previously was before the hero ran through it? And Goblin Cleanup says, oh, well, it's very simple. There are little goblin maids, and they run through the dungeon, and they get mops, and they mop up the blood splatter off of the floors, and they reset the traps, and they relight the torches, and they put all the furniture back in place, and they take the treasure, and they throw it back into the treasure chest. They put it all back together, noting that it's still a dungeon while you're doing it, and the dungeon can still kill you while you're trying to reset the whole thing.
Oh.
And then you have to respawn and do it again.
Then you have to clean up your own mess.
Then you, like, leave a blood splatter, and you have to clean up the blood splatter where you were before you get resurrected. And
that's really interesting.
Yeah. That's
a really interesting concept for a game.
It is, and it's a very nice graphic art style, which is kind of cartoony. I guess maybe closer to, like, the newer Dungeon Quest kind of games, almost cel-shaded art style. It's got some really interesting ideas to it. Like, there are mimic chests in this. If you stand in front of the mimic chest will just eat you. But you can go around the back of the mimic chest, pick the mimic chest up, and then you can use the mimic chest to clean up all of the chunks of meat in the dungeon by having it eat all of them. When you want to clean up blood splatter, because they actually did, it feels like they actually thought this through. You don't just get a mop to clean up the blood splatter. No. That would be too simple. There are little machines that let you release little slimes. You take a pitchfork and you put the slime on the pitchfork that has a little face on it, and you use that to clean up the blood splatter. And when it gets fully loaded up with blood, the slime's eyes go cross-eyed and it's dead. And now you got you got to get another slime so that you can clean up the next blood that's on the floor. While you're going through this thing and, like, holding onto the furniture and stuff, but there's swinging blades and there's traps that are set up for, like, ballistas, and you might need to reset the ballista, but if there's already blades in, like, you could go and reset it, but then if you trip the wire where the ballista is, the ballista come down and shoot you in the back of the back, and then when you come back, you have to go and reset the ballista things onto it.
So, I saw this game, and I was like, it just kind of looks like a Viscera cleanup detail.
It's like, kind of like that, but a fantasy version of that.
But if it had pegged itself as we're a dungeon cleanup game, where you're cleaning up the dungeon, but also it's part puzzle and problem solving.
Because it is, yes.
That would have been more interesting to me, and I probably would have tried it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I have Power Wash Simulator, I have Car Mechanic Simulator, I have plenty of games that are job simulators. It just involved me cleaning up messes like that, for instance.
Sure.
Even Hard Space Shipbreaker. It's a job simulator where you're cleaning up a mess and doing stuff. And they're very satisfying. A lot of times, but like if this game had gone out of its way, I feel like it didn't, to be like, hey, we're a job simulator, but with a bit extra.
Oh yeah,
and like introduced it as like a roguelite almost. I would have been like, hold on,
yeah,
that's neat.
This is interesting, yeah, because there are definitely puzzle elements. There's like a laser eye trap, because I played the first level. There were more levels you could play afterward, but I was like, this is really cool. It might not be my thing, but I thought it was really cool to talk about. You put the laser eye trap on there, but then when you pass by it, the laser eye trap is going to want to laserify you. So you kind of have to keep it off of the thing and not replace it back while you're working in the room, so that you don't get killed while working in the room. There's a lot of, like, swinging ball traps and spike traps that come up, and so it does a good job of, like, making you really think out, like, the room and the, you know, where everything is supposed to go and how everything is supposed to be put together. I feel like I was playing it by myself. I believe that this is one of those games that you can play as, like, co-op up to, like, 4 players, I think.
Perfect, because I can then grab a mimic chest and have it.
And I feel like the co-op is where it's really going to, like, take off, if it ever does, because you're going to see a lot of people on stream with their friends running around and causing chaos in this dungeon with each other, and that's probably going to be the point where everybody's like, oh god, I gotta pick up this game so I can play it with my game group. It does feel like it is made for that, where there's different, like, wings of the building, and some of the elements are scattered throughout that you might have to play around with, but you could see like one player working over here and one player working over here, and oh, do you have this chest or do you have this table that I need because I don't have it in my room? Sure, I'll toss it over there.
Almost even enjoy if they leaned into that for certain maps they did.
Sure.
Where it required multiple players in order to, like, you'd have to say they're specifically multiplayer and can't be done solo, for instance, but, like, maybe this requires at least 2 people to be able to get past a certain, like, a door lock or something. It's like you have to go to the other side to unlock it, but, like, this person's has to get over there, and you have to have, like, 2 keys kind of deal, or just, like, something that requires multiple people doing it so that it, again, could really shine in that. It's like, all right, almost like Portal.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Then they would have to have increased difficulties to recognize that there's multiple players in the lobby. Because if you're just playing by yourself, you can't have those mechanics.
Well, no, that's why I said
mechanics. But if it detects a second player,
that is why I said you would have to say these maps are multiplayer.
Or need a certain number.
Even some of the same maps too, but increased difficulty for multiple players.
Oh, sure. Because they do score you. You can kind of leave the map whenever you want and finish up. But they basically give you a checklist of, like, 7 items, I think, in the first one, of, like, did you clean up all the blood splatters? Did you reset all the furniture? Did you do all those? And depending on how you do, you get better scores, and your score ultimately is how you unlock more maps that you can play through. And so I was able to get, like, 5 out of the 7. I for some reason, there were several blood splatters. I don't know where they were. I was looking for them everywhere. I could not figure out where they were. I got to, like, I put everything back, and I think I relit all of the torches. There were just a couple of them where it's like, I have no clue. I don't know where this last element is. And, but then they'd unlock some other ones, and they are tiered in different difficulties, and it does look like there's also different dungeons that you eventually go in, or different castles that you go in. You have, like, a basic one, and then it sounds like there's, like, a sunken temple one that you go to, and I think that there's an ice castle that you go to at some point. And it looked like, from when I saw little intro videos and stuff, that there might be points where heroes are trying to run through the dungeon while you're trying to reset everything, or that there are monsters that you're supposed to, like, wrangle into the world, or that are supposed to be in that world. And so those are kind of cool mechanics to set up in this thing that is ostensibly a cleaning sim, but with a dungeon around it, where that can kill you. So I thought that... But I really, the reason I wanted to talk about it is that while not necessarily the best game that I played, it is definitely the one that I have not seen anything really like before. I don't think I've ever played anything quite like Goblin Cleanup, or even had the thought process in my head of making something like this. That was just, like, so crazy to me to make this game in the first place.
I mean, even when I think about it, it makes me wonder if anybody's ever ran, like, you know, a D&D campaign where it's like this.
Where you're the dungeon cleanup service?
Imagine your adventurer stumbling onto a dungeon and it's actually in the middle of being cleaned.
Oh, I kind of like the idea of having a D&D campaign where you run a cleaning service and your heroes have to go into a dungeon and clean up the...
I hope you two have that as a topic for a future video, because this just sounds interesting. I checked out the Steam page while you were explaining it to us.
Sure.
Yeah, it does look really cute.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's necessarily like a me type of game, but it's definitely probably something I'd definitely check the demo out to see what hilarity can do.
Right.
You know, because I could also see it if you're doing multiplayer. Somebody just being like the troll in your group and be like,
"Oh yeah,
I want to move this mimic over here and clean it up," and I accidentally killed you with the mimic.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, just put the mimic facing straight out into the hallway so nobody can come into your area. That would be
strategically put it like right around the corner, so if someone turns, they don't even see it until the last second.
Yeah, you can see that totally being the thing that is utterly memeable online for all of eternity.
Competitive dungeon cleanup.
Competitive dungeon cleanup.
Which one of you can clean up your wing first? Oh, also you can sabotage each other.
Yeah, it's a perfectly fine idea. But yeah, I was struck really from the get-go from the level of production value that it had, because it does have a really well-designed art style with very nice modeling and everything. And the interface is really easy to understand and work with. It looks like they actually tried with this game, which is not something I can say about every demo I played. And so
when you were playing this demo, was there anything like bugs that you found, or anything you felt that was janky?
No.
In this gameplay, or it was just smooth?
Honestly, no. I thought that it played really smooth. I don't think I encountered any kind of glitches or bugs while I was playing. I can't think of a single time. So yeah, pretty well polished overall. I think that its biggest hurdle is really that it's such an odd concept that I think some people might just not be into it, because it's not like other things that they've played, and it might be hard for people to sell it because, like Alex was saying, you looked at it and you thought it was one thing, and it would take really describing it better to get to its target audience, which I think is out there. But yeah, Goblin Cleanup, the most unique one that I played, because a lot of them were like, oh yeah, this is a survival crafting game. Oh yeah, this is a Souls-like. Oh yeah, this is
Oh, this is.
I mean, I could see this being marketed to the Power Wash Simulator crowd.
That would be the kind of crowd that I'd want to market it to.
Or even the Lethal Company type crowd.
Yeah, actually, they'd probably enjoy it too. It's more casual than that. It definitely is supposed to be a little bit more chill. There's nothing stalking you, as far as I can tell, or anything like that. But I could see people that like to play that as, like, a 4-player or something. They'd probably get a kick out of this if they got to pick it up. Last question for everybody was, like, just overall impression for Next Fest Summer 2024. What did you think?
It was Next Fest 2024.
It was the Next Fest that was. Yeah.
It was not bad. There was some good gems this time around. I believe there's one more Next Fest. It's supposed to be later this year. I don't know when, though.
My question that I would pass on to everybody out there is just, if you played something really interesting or unique at Next Fest that you're not hearing people talk about, please let me know in the comments down below, because we're always interested in the ones that kind of fell through the cracks, those hidden gems that were out there that no one got around to talking about. Alex, I wanted to pass this next segment on to you, because you were talking a little bit about the nature of Next Fest demos in relation to how we deal with demonstrations for games typically. Pros and cons.
Yeah, so it got me thinking, because I had suggested a friend try a game or look at this game that was on Next Fest, and as we are just talking about, Next Fest is great for demos. The problem I have is that Next Fest only lasts a week, and then after that week, a lot of those games take their demos away.
Yes.
And the issue I have with this is that, well, we're all old enough to remember demo discs being a thing.
Oh, yeah. Pizza Hut.
And the age...
That's some nostalgia right there.
PC Gamer magazine with their game demo disc of multiple demos. And, like, we grew up in a time where demos were big because they wanted people to try the game, and they wanted to put it out there, and it's like, here, try it, and then maybe you'll want to buy it. For a number of years, demos kind of disappeared, and now it seems they've come back a bit, but they're very crammed into, like, 1 week time frames at a time.
Yeah.
Where, how many games were there on Next Fest this time?
Oh god, hundreds.
Just hundreds? I think I definitely went through my discovery queue for it, and I probably went through over 200 games.
Yeah.
Out of those, I picked 6 to play. But it's like, if you're going to give me a week-long festival of games that are upcoming in-game demos, and then take those demos away afterwards, but there's more games than I have time to play?
Yeah.
Who is benefiting in the long run by you taking your demo off the shelf. Because doesn't it seem more in the best interest of your game to have your demo up as long as possible, even after the game releases, so that you can get people to go, I want to try this, I'm going to put a couple hours into it, if I like it, I'm going to buy it, and if I don't like it, I'm not. But then, if they like it and they buy it, they can leave a review.
Right.
If they don't like it and they don't buy it, they can't leave a review.
That makes me wonder about Steam Next Fest in general. I know they have I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they have like a registration system where they have to register their games for Next Fest. So I don't know if it's necessarily the developers that are taking away the demos at the conclusion of Next Fest, or if it's Steam. Because fests happen all year round on Steam. You know, you have your RPG Fest, you have your FPS Fest, you have your Spooky Games Fest, and all of those have demos throughout the year. So there's demos constantly coming out. But like
Sure.
It's like your next fest are like your big ones of the year, the 3 that they have a year. They have to register to be able to participate within Next Fest, so they have to meet eligibility requirements. Which makes me wonder if the power is with the developers or the studios that take away those demos at the end, or if it's Steam that has that power. Because some of these demos stay after Next Fest, so it's not all the demos disappear.
Maybe? I feel like it would
there
have
are
to be
some
the
that do stick around.
developers. Well, if it was Steam, then I would think that all the demos that were on Next Fest would disappear. If some stick around, then it makes me think it's the developers.
Mm-hmm.
Because Steam shouldn't be able to pull those back if the developers are like, no, we're keeping this up. It's not obviously just me. It's not only my thought. I've listened to other people who do game reviews and game critiques, namely some of the guys who are at Second Wind, because I've been listening to their podcast a lot. And even, Frost will be like, I have 300 games I want to play as a reviewer.
Yeah.
And in like Yahtzee too, he'll be like, yeah, unless you want me to like play the game for a minute, it's like I don't have enough time in the day to do a review on every single game I would like to. It's like you have to pick and choose.
Yeah.
So it's
agreed, because all of us here are content creators, but we all have different things going on in our life.
Sure.
I try to stream 20 hours a week, but I also have a full-time day job, 40 hours a week.
Right.
It's like I have to find this time to be able to play these games on top of my main game, which is World of Warcraft.
Right.
It's just like I gotta find time to play these other games that I want to check out.
Right. Not enough time in the day, not enough fingers on my hand or keyboards in my
And not
in my
enough
lap.
me's to
Exactly.
get all this done.
Exactly. There's not enough me's in the day. This is kind of like a pros and cons scenario. Because for us, the pro would be being able to just play the demos whenever you want. Like, the demos can launch on Steam Next Fest, and that's good, and we know that those demos are out, and then we can keep playing them past that, because we don't get to them during that time frame. But a part of me is wondering if the reason why they do it is to create scarcity on their end, in similar fashion to like how Disney would have the Disney Vault. Remember that, where it's like, oh
Yes.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's the Lion King on DVD, but for only a limited time, and then it's the Rib Witch. We're gonna bring the Rib Witch for 2 weeks, and then we're gonna take it away. You gotta come in and get it now.
I can absolutely see that being
But-
a thing, but not entirely.
Yeah. So the thing there is with like the Disney Vault or like the McRib, for instance, these are things people love already.
Sure.
So they're not going, here's a new thing that you've never experienced before.
Right.
You only have it available for this short time, and then we're taking it away. Then you have to go buy it. They're not giving you, like, hey, you want to watch the first 20 minutes of The Lion King 1 before we take it away?
Well,
It's a little different. It's not like, hey, you want to try like a bite of the McRib, but only that partial piece of the sandwich? Maybe you just get the rib, but not the whole sandwich before we take it away. In this case, it's like, okay, well, if I missed out on your demo during Next Fest, but I want to try your game, but I don't have the money or I'm unsure about it, would you as a developer prefer someone tries your game and doesn't like it, or would you rather someone buys your game, doesn't like it, and then refunds it and negatively
and
reviews
has
it?
a negative review? Yeah, no, I would obviously want to take the first rather than the second.
Right.
Yeah,
so like
agreed.
you're saving a lot of that on the other side of there by just going try the game for free. You've got either an unlimited trial, but it's a demo, a small area, it's only a part of the game, or maybe a limited run, which again is also fine. I think I saw you also tried out Vampire Dynasty, which only
Yeah.
had like 2 days worth of the demo, and I was left with this was not enough demo for me to really tell anything
So I
about
want
it.
to. I don't know if it's really devil's advocate, but I want to try and play the other side of this. You
Demo's
said someone
advocate.
from Second Win wanted to play 300 demos.
I was giving a
If that's an exaggeration number, I'm say that's an
You-
unhinged number. Because the only way
okay.
around it would be. Let me finish. The only way around it would be that if you download all those demos onto your computer, that is the only way that I can think of where you would still be able to play the demo.
No, because I
because
have
of
not
update.
I haven't uninstalled any of the demos that I had, and some of them are unavailable. They just say purchase now. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
sometimes
was
they will.
being hyperbolic about that. It wasn't necessarily. I don't remember exactly what was said. I'm giving it
But that there might be a ton.
Exaggerated.
Yeah, that there's an.
I was going to say, if it's downloaded to your computer, there should be a way to still be able to play it. Because, totally unrelated, I do have a game at my Steam library that is no longer available on Steam, but it still has a play button. I just haven't clicked play. I was going to make a video to
Right.
cover it, and it doesn't show up.
Oh,
And
I mean,
me and another person who told me about the game, for the life of us, cannot find any media or any news about why this game was removed from Steam during Next Fest, but not just the game, the developer as well. All the demos are gone.
oh,
interesting.
That's intriguing.
That sounds like it's a whole other
That
rabbit
sounds
hole
Yeah,
topic
work.
for a video.
yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds like something was happening behind the scenes we don't
But
know
that's why I'm
about.
not
Yeah.
bringing up that's why I'm not bringing up the name of the game or the developer,
Sure.
because I don't know
We don't know what's happening. Yeah.
exactly. If I can find out what happened,
Time
I
to
can bring
do
it
a
up.
deep dive investigative journalism thing about this.
Well,
Hopefully
God,
the
this is
one
better than
people-
mine because my ADHD cannot find it for the life of me.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
and that does happen occasionally too. Like when games are pulled from Steam. I don't know about specifically during Next Fest, but for instance, Spec Ops: The Line, for instance, is no longer available through Steam. You can't buy it anymore.
Yeah.
But if you own it, you can still play it. Stuff like that occasionally happens, but this, I guess,
Yeah.
this sounds like
Yeah.
a different case. Which is
Because I have some games in my Steam library that I probably never will play, but it's like, oh, it's leaving Steam, but you can get it for free now. And they're like, well, it's in my library forever.
I'm
I'm just
not.
shrugging. I'm like, whatever, free game. Maybe one day I'll play it.
I'm gonna play Demo's Advocate now, because I do have another theory about why companies might agree to have limited game demos, which is about concentration of metrics. So, if I have my game demo and it's just for like the 1 week of Next Fest, and it's during this time where everything's getting promoted, you were talking about like Drill Core Klayton being like the most downloaded game during that time period, and I wonder if it said like we're gonna have this demo up way past Next Fest. Would everyone be trying to play it during that time period, and would they now be able to say that they had like 100,000 people that had played it? Would the metrics look as good for them? Because there is a longer time period where they can do that, and they can't promote it. So, like, is it an algorithmic thing almost?
in theory, the metrics would be better because given a longer period of time, things perform better. Our video about 3rd edition, for instance, is our best performing video. It has over 8,000 views. And, like, that just is increasing over time.
That is true.
The
That is
difference
true.
is timescale. Like, over 100,000 demos downloaded of this game played in a week. And the week is a great metric. But, like, what does that look like over the next 6 months if you were to have that demo still available?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to gain more, especially if it's generated enough buzz.
Sure.
Because 100,000 people played it, and assuming every person there tells someone else they know that this game was great,
Yeah.
then that's another 100,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Or if everyone tells 2 friends, that's another 200,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, you can only generate more from that, really, as long as it's a good product. So, I don't know.
Right. And it is also possible that they do it just because of the exposure of saying that the demos are out. Because really, like, a lot of times I will not seek out demos of games. But Steam Next Fest is one of those times where it's like, oh, I just know that there's a lot of game demos that are going to be out there right now for me to play. And it's possible that there were several games that are on my wish list right now that have demos up that I'm just am not aware of because I didn't bother to look at it. And until it says on Steam Next Fest or something that hey, it's got a game demo, I probably wouldn't think about it. Might be worth me looking at some of the upcoming games that I have on my list and just see if they did even have demos that you could play, because I might just not be aware of it. But I think it might just be exposure.
Yeah,
and that's
and also
reason.
with Next Fest, it has to be a game that's upcoming soon. There are quite a few games where I played where they don't have a date. It doesn't say like the month, or it doesn't say Q3 or Q2 or Q4 of whatever year. Some of them say to be announced. Maybe there could be a little bit more, I don't want to really tighter restrictions on it, but for the application process. But games that say to be announced, maybe it shouldn't be on Next Fest like that. Because that could be like a year from now or 2 years. What is to be announced?
Yeah.
You know,
Whenever they
they're
feel
not
like
giving a date.
2025, 26, yeah.
And that's when you're like, oh my god, it's almost like playing a regular game that's in early access that you just probably should be out now, but they've been in early access for 3 years. You know, and it's just like, where do you draw the line on how long a game should be in early access?
I'm still amazed when I go onto my like wish list and it's like, oh yeah, no, there's some games on here that came out in like 2015. They're still considered early access games.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
like when DayZ spent 8 years in early access.
Yeah, The Isle I've had on my wish list for a long time, but I think that came out in like 2015. It's still considered an early access game. It's like, I don't think it's ever getting out of early access. I think it's staying there.
And that's totally a whole conversation for another time, like the whole early access thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna come out firmly in the idea that I think that it's better to have demos available for longer periods of time. And theoretically, like, after it's released at Next Fest, I would actually like to see the demos just publicly available until the game releases, so that people who didn't have a chance to play it in that time period, everyone's busy, everyone has, like, weird schedules and stuff, and there's a lot to weed through. It would be nice to have the ability to at least play that, and I do appreciate it when there are developers that are like, yeah, no, it will be up for longer. It's like, just leave it up. Like, I don't, unless there's an actual reason you can't, but.
Right. And even as a compromise, like, yeah, Steam Next Fest is a week long celebration of upcoming games.
Mm-hmm.
They could leave it, they could be like, okay, so Next Fest is over, but all the demos will still be up for an extra week. You know?
Sure.
You know, it's just like, the festival itself has already ended, but you still got a whole nother 7 days to check out demos that you weren't able to get to.
Sure, yeah.
I don't even mind if games keep demos up indefinitely. Hey, this game has been released, but we're also offering a demo for people to try it because we believe in our product so much that we assume that if you're going to try this game and you think you'd like it, you're going to like it and you're going to buy it. You know?
Sure.
I mean, I agree with you on that too, in that regard. Like, I'm a huge fan of try it before you buy it. You know, you don't want to get a game and you're like, it's not really what I wanted. And then you have to refund. You have to go through the process of refunding it. And pray to God, hopefully you didn't lose track of time and play it for more than 2 hours.
And honestly, what I used to do, I don't really do it nearly as much anymore. But what I used to do back in the day when I was much, much less better off with my money situation, I would torrent games to try them before I'd buy them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would go, I think this game sounds interesting, but I'm not sure, and I don't have $50 to spend on a game title.
Right.
So I would go and torrent the game, play it for a bit, and if I liked it, I would then go and actually buy the game and support the developers. And if I didn't like it, then I didn't spend any money on it because it's a thing I wouldn't have enjoyed.
Right.
I noticed, I don't know if it's been like this before in past Next Fest. I noticed it in 2 of the demos I tried during this Next Fest. Some of the demos have achievements.
Yes.
If they're using that as a way to entice people to really enjoy the game, and perhaps even wishlist it because they're like, oh man, I enjoyed this game. I even got a couple of achievements. I like achievements. I'm gonna get the full game so I can get the rest of the achievements. Because if those achievements were to carry over into the full release, then they're gonna be like, I have to buy this game now because I now have to get the other 15 some odd whatever number of achievements there are for this game.
Yeah.
You know, if a game has 8 achievements, but there's 3 for the demo because, you know, those are the 3 that are actually attainable.
Yeah. I think it was...
To me, as a player, I would be more incentivized to buy a game.
Yeah, I think it was Ale and Tail Tavern had like 10 achievements you could unlock if you did like all of the little things in it. And that was one of those cases too for that particular game where I don't think they're keeping up the demo, but they made it very clear on the page that they're actually creating like a prologue, like a free prologue that was going to be coming out in a couple weeks. It's like called First Pour or something. That might be a little bit more expanded, so there will be something free to play. That
is a good marketing tactic too, because I've played a couple of games that had prologue versions that are free.
I've seen a lot of those too. Maybe
and
that's
those games,
thing.
those games ended up on my wish list, and some of those games I actually ended up buying when the game came out because the prologues were enjoyable enough. You know, it's not even a demo; it's a prologue.
Yeah, that might be a whole other conversation itself as well, where a prologue, especially because they have a different listing on the Steam page.
They do, yeah.
So maybe that's a thing to get around, like having a demo and the metrics of it, I guess, somehow.
Yeah,
but
we could totally talk about that in the future too. Demo versus prologue.
Right, and then that the prologue is almost not really part of the main game, but is trying to be emblematic of the full game itself, which is a whole very interesting thing to itself. But at any rate, I made mention that I think that it would be great if the demo stayed around. But how did the two of you feel? Alex, I'll let you go.
Yeah, I would like demos to just be more normalized than they have been. I don't want them all crammed in a single week. If I want to try a game, I would like it to... If I'm looking at a game and I'm unsure, I want there to be a demo so I can try it and then go, yeah, no, I want this, I'll buy it right now.
Sure.
You know, give me the option to try it before I buy it, or else I'm going to buy it, play it, and within 2 hours, give you a snap judgment of, meh, I didn't like it, and then I'm going to refund it.
Yeah, I hear you. Klayton, what's your official stance on the demo situation?
I don't mind the event itself being a week long. I'm a little bit middle of the road. I don't mind the demos going away. I don't mind them staying a little bit longer, like a week or maybe even a week and a half, 2 weeks. Because I could see both sides of the argument for that. The hardest part, though, for us as content creators is knowing that it's coming up and figuring out through socials or through Steam itself what games that might be on our radar that it's going to be a part of Next Fest.
Yeah, you know,
to get the demo for, you know, because there's the research that we have to put in before the event, you know, and then we come across other games during the event.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the event, we're talking about it.
For the average person that's out there, it would be kind of nice if Steam, like, did a thing where, like, a couple days ahead of Next Fest is kind of like going, these are the games that are gonna be part of Next Fest. If you would like to wish list them or put them on your radar, there will be demos when we start. Because I think for most people, they're not like going into the weeds of like, which games are going to have demos. Let's go to the individual pages and stuff like that. I just don't think they're doing that kind of research just to kind of like go, okay, this is the full listing of the games that are going to have demos for this week. So... make it well known to figure out what you'd like to have for selection so that when it launches day one, I can at least, like, if they're going to be going away in a week, okay, but at least on day one, a lot of people will have, like, an idea of what they want to grab immediately. And I did not see that with Steam. The first time I saw anything about Next Fest for Steam was the day it started. Like, there was nothing beforehand.
I can't even recall a time where they talked about a list of games for Next Fest. And I agree with you.
Yeah.
To me, that would be huge.
Yeah.
Huge. Not just as someone who enjoys games, but someone who creates content around games.
Yes.
Like, this is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to the average player who just maybe wants to find a new game just so that they can play for themselves. We're looking for games so that we can discuss them. And
so I think that there's a lot of games that kind of end up in the category of, well, I saw my favorite streamer play it, so I guess that's the one that I'm going to go to, like, the day afterward. And I would just like to see, just in the interest of fairness and give everybody a fair shot, is just say, these are all the games. You could even categorize it like, these are the genres that they're in, whatever, but this is a full listing of all the games, guys. So, you know, it's coming up in a few days. The demos are going to be live that day. So, if any of this looks interesting to you, feel free to wishlist it now, or we'll notify you, you know, something like that. Or, I mean, it's Steam, if they have the resources, is to put like a digital checklist on the website. And you have this whole listing and maybe brief synopses if you wanted to, and you can just checklist, like, you know, put little checks next to the ones that interest you. And so when it comes up on the Next Fest page, it says, these were the games that you were interested in, and then you can just click on that from there. That would be wonderfully convenient for me.
Or even if they recommended Steam games that are going to be part of Next Fest,
based on your previous
in your library.
Yeah, based on the ones you gave a positive recommendation to, or something. Yeah, based on your tags.
Because you look at some of these Steam pages and it goes, "Is this game relevant to you?" And it shows you 2 games.
Sure.
That have similar stuff in it.
Yeah.
It's hardly ever helpful.
It gives them tags of, like, what are you looking for in Steam Next Fest? Like, ones that have, like, maybe a series of 5 tags or something like that. What 5 tags are you most interested in? And then they give you some recommendations based on the 5 tags that you suggested, or something like that. That would be, again, that would just be helpful to delineate it out, because, again, like Alex was saying, there were like 200 games that you probably, you know, went through, and trying to figure out how to meld that in your head to get around, to figure out what you're doing with all that information is just a lot. We'll see what happens in the next Fest, but that's something to consider, and just our thoughts on game demos. But if anyone out there has any thoughts of your own, or suggestions for what you'd like to see them do to kind of help with this information overload of sorts on Steam Next Fest for the next one, drop us a note in the comments down below. We'd love to hear from you. So this is the point where I can go get a snack. And
Nope.
Damn
You're
it.
gonna sit right there and look pretty.
Well, this is gonna be harder than I thought. Okay, I'm gonna turn my head backwards so that I can look like the cool kids while Alex and Klayton talk about. Wow. All right.
Wow.
We're ready. We're ready. All right. So, tell me all about WoW Remix.
Right. So, an event that I don't think we saw coming. After
I
the
didn't.
Storm. Yeah,
I know I did.
Kind of just an event WoW decided to drop on us. Was it lasting about 100 days. Is called the World of Warcraft Mists of Pandaria Remix, Nathan.
Okay.
And what this is they go, hey, we've got this thing that's going to be a limited time event where we're going to just drop you into Mists of Pandaria, new characters, and it's going to be mixed up a little, remix, where it's not changing any of the story, it's changing the way that you play it, though.
So it's loosely tied into current content events, and I say very loosely, very generously. Because
it's
the only
got
thing that you really have is the Dragonflight, which I am blanking. The Infinite Dragonflight.
The Infinites, yeah.
Is current content for World of Warcraft current expansion.
Okay.
Right,
Yeah.
which is Dragonflight. So the Infinite Dragonflight is a part of this current expansion, but they're also in this event. They are your vendors. They are your daily quest givers.
Okay.
So basically, we're going back to Pandaria. We're doing a little bit of time traveling, essentially, in this one.
Cool.
Which is fine. We do that occasionally. But it's allowing you to go back through Pandaria and get a lot more mounts and transmogs for armor sets and that type of stuff, and a slew of achievements you can get for it. And just its main thing, I think, is that it's taking from the WoW Season of Discovery they did in a lot of ways.
Okay.
Where
And a little bit of Plunderstorm.
And a little bit of Plunderstorm. The one thing you're going to be getting is loot. And not like generic loot all over the place. There's not a lot differently, but you're going to be getting weapons and armor, and then gems, and that's really about it. And then one currency they added for this event only is bronze. But essentially these gems are the biggest thing in it, which some of them will add to stats. Specifically, you can upgrade the gems so they are better. And there's gems for like haste and speed and avoidance, crit strike, mastery, armor, versatility. There's your major stats. All get these gems, and you can slot them into pieces of your armor to kind of kit your character out specifically in one way or another. The druid I made, for instance, I went all in on mastery because bleed damage is brutal.
What are you playing?
A druid.
What kind
That
of
makes
druid?
sense. So mine is Leech, and I'm playing obviously a rogue.
Well, of course you're playing a rogue.
But you get a cape, which is like an infinite cape, and all your stats go into that cape as well. You kill mobs, you kill bosses, you kill dungeons, you kill raids, and you get like these infinite threads that get woven into your cloak that pump up your stats. And your characters are called time runners, so you can roll time runner alts, and they benefit from the same cloak you get as your main. So you're basically leveling up faster than the speed of light.
I gained like 148% experience bonus on other characters because of it, or something around there. So you gain bonuses, and it makes leveling alts a lot faster. But it's also supposed to be an overpowered game mode, where this is supposed to be overpowered.
So think Legion. You know, when you had your weapon artifact system and your weapon became overpowered, and you as a DPS character was pumping out so much damage that it's like the tanks can't even keep up with you because you're just blazing ahead and just basically one-shotting everything.
I've seen
that's remixed on steroids.
Yeah.
Because I've been in LFR dungeons, LFR raids and LFR dungeons. Like a demon hunter would just run through and like one shot everything and then keep going, and you and the rest of the party is just going behind. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Because all you have time is to loot.
I was doing one. We did Skullmance, and the druid was our tank, and he just bear mode, burst through, killed the first boss, didn't stop, kept going. Like they're just speed running, and it's like Jesus.
It's the fastest get in and get out ever because they got other things to do, and you got other things to do, and I've been able to pump out more daily quests faster just by doing that. It's just like get all my LFR dungeons done. You can move on to heroic, and like you said, there are achievements specifically for the remix event. But because it's also Mr. Pandaria, you're also getting the Mr. Pandaria achievements you probably didn't get during that expansion, on top of the remix specific achievements.
Okay.
I think we need to pull Nathan back in because he's glazing over. So the biggest thing here that makes this interesting, Nathan, for you, because Klayton already knows, is part of the gems, aside the ones that just boost stats, they have a ton of gems that let you augment how your character functions at a base level.
Okay.
So your helmet gets a meta gem, which is this really overpowered one. There's a bunch of different ones to choose from. Your boots get a cogwheel gem, which is movement based. Either they will allow you to dash or use a mage's blink, for instance. You can use other class abilities with that. And then the rest of the gems you get to slot in, and I think you get like 9?
I think so, yeah.
They're called Tinker Gems, and what these do is augment how your abilities work. So, for instance, there's one that you can equip that when you do an auto attack, it will also add another 7 to 8 auto attacks on top of it. 100% chance.
Okay.
There
There
are
are
others
some
that are like shields. So there's like an ice shield where you have more resistance, but there's also another ice one that I like to pair it with that shoots down shards, almost like a mage's blizzard.
Oh.
But in one of my slots, I have the fire shield, the ice shield, and that in one item. Because as you get better gear, you can have up to 3 tinker gems in a piece of gear. The same with the stat gems. But for cogwheels and for meta gems, you can only put 1 in that socket. So I don't know what you use as a meta gem for your helmet, but mine, I use the chain lightning one, and that just goes ballistic.
They're interesting because like there's a bunch that can augment like your healing spells. They can just like deal extra damage, make you more tanky. It makes it so you can add a lot of versatility to how you want to do it. Like as a druid, I go fire damage. My attacks call down occasional meteor swarms, and when I kill somebody, they explode with fire, and then all these other abilities happen, and it just makes you feel overpowered. And it's really fun. But I think they could have gone a little bit better.
Okay.
I think they missed a few marks like here and there. On the whole, remix, really fun. It adds a lot of change that you don't get to do in normal retail, and it makes this cool. I hope they do another remix for the other expansions, because that would be really cool to be able to experience just those expansions in a way that is like actually being used, for instance.
Right.
Because this has gotten a lot of people going back in, doing all the story stuff for Miss Pandaria, and being able to play it almost as if it had just come out.
Almost. There are some
almost.
things you don't get, though. The only profession in this game is fishing because of the anglers. So there's no major and minor professions. So there's no herbalism, mining, there's no cooking, none of that. Just fishing. There's also no half-hill farm. The half-hill farm is actually an area for the infinite dragonfly to do their business. So you don't get to have that farm.
It did streamline it for sure, which
the
I think
auction
is
house
fine.
does not work. So anybody who has the Brutosaur mount, the auction house doesn't work.
And you're stuck in Pandaria.
Yes. And the Time Runner is only used for that. Now, these characters will become regular characters when the event ends. So, like your Diablo, you have your season character, and at the end of the season, it becomes a regular character.
Sure.
That's that's going to be the thing with Time Runners. So people want to
one of the things I think they missed the mark on with that was, I don't need to make new characters, but I do want to do the time run. Why can't you just let me reroll a character that I've already got made as a time runner? A la Diablo, you could go, hey, I'm going to take this character who's already maxed leveled and already done this stuff and rebirth them. They're going to start at level 1 and go through the new stuff, and then it acts like a season. You can do that with those seasonal characters. I think they should have done that for this, because, again, I don't need to make new characters. That just adds to my roster. I would like to do this on a character that I already have pre-existing, and just shelve all my items and stuff to the side for now. Like, put them in a bank that's over there, and just let me do it as a timer. I think that would be fantastic.
I wonder what kind of technical limitations prevent them from doing that, because World of Warcraft and Diablo are 2 very different franchises. But they're under the same, but they're by the same company. Like, I wouldn't be able to do that with my main. He's got so much stuff from him from all the way back in Burning Crusade that I just don't want to delete. I still have the original Warglaives of the Warglaives of Azeroth that I don't want to delete.
I don't think you'd delete it. You would probably end up putting it into like a void type storage thing or something.
You can't. If the item says unique, you cannot put it into void storage.
Well, no, I meant for them specifically. They could have figured something out. I don't think it wouldn't have been that hard. So I think that would have been nice. For instance, that would have been really nice. I also think more gem variety for the Tinkers and whatnot. Like, even more abilities to choose from would have been awesome. Because once you've collected them all, it's kind of just like, all right, I've got my build.
But then you can have fun swapping stuff out, because the ones I use now for my build wasn't the ones I've always used as I was leveling up. I've changed them out to try different things. The thing is just they just take so much space. I had to buy all the bag slots in the bank just to stuff all those events, items in. And if they do another one, I hope they do it in Legion. Legion was a lot of fun. But I also hope they do it in Warlords of Draenor. Like, that expansion wasn't very universally loved, especially for the long period of the content drought that they had leading into Legion. And the rebirth system, I did not know that exists in Diablo, but I wouldn't mind seeing that, because while I don't like starting over from level 1 from the character I already have, as someone who likes to collect transmog and the way they're changing it for the War Within, I wouldn't mind re-rolling like either my Paladin or my Death Knight. They're not my rogues, but I have them because I like transmogging. And sometimes if I'm in a transmog contest, I'm like, the rogue's not really going to cut it. I want something that's going to look really good and really pop. And my Paladin can do that.
Sure. So the upgrades that you're getting during Remix, is there any indication that these are things that you're going to be keeping? Like, it sounds like they're OP. Are they going to still remain on characters that you can play after Remix is over?
I don't think so. I think a lot of these Tinker Gems and stuff are either going to go away or they're going to get severely nerfed, and then you're just going to replace it with War Within gear and upgrades. As far as the cloak goes, I don't know either, because
I assume
imagine the way your character runs now in game. A time runner is going to run so much faster, just because of all the threads in your cloak and the cogwheel.
I assume that all that stuff will go away when they turn into a normal character. For the Tinker Gems and Meta Gems, that stuff, I assume that will just be turned into something else. Maybe it'll be gear. I would think it'd be really cool for the cloak to turn into an heirloom itself that you could then equip on alts to level them with.
Sure.
And that would be neat. But I assume most of this stuff will go away once it goes back in, because this is just a limited time event. But I do hope that if they do more remixes like this, they do go, hey, you can reroll characters. Because again, I do not need to make another 5 characters. I already have 20-something characters.
Right.
That's not what I need.
Characters. Yeah, that's enough characters.
Like, let me just use the ones I have.
Yeah. I mean, for other classes, I can see that. I mean, I have streamer friends who they're class specific. One of them has like 50 warlocks because that's what they enjoy. They enjoy warlocks.
Why so many?
Alts and dailies and all that. So people who do like the dailies and stuff for the gold, that's easy money for them. Like take the dragon racing for instance. If they just did the dragon racing, the ones for gold on each character, they're making probably close to 30,000-40,000 gold, depending on how many characters they have.
That's so much effort, I think. That's way too much effort.
It may be, but that's only for a few minutes of racing. And you don't even have to do it on the advanced course. You can just do it on the basic course.
I guess. But yeah.
That's like an easy 5,000 to 10,000 gold, depending on how many races there are per character.
A few minutes of racing can feel like an eternity, though. So.
Nathan is feeling like he's in an eternity right now.
Oh my god! It's remixing my day right now.
The thing about remix though is dragon riding is available in it. So
that's good.
You can do old world flying, but you can also do your dragon flying.
Yeah. So again, why do I care about Remix? It's taking the Mist of Pandaria, it's flipping it on its head, it's flippity dippity, it's making
the characters that you're playing with overpowered, and it's supposed to be a more fun, intentionally overpowered.
Yeah,
copy that.
You could get powerful enough that you could take on the world boss yourself.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Not even joking.
Huh.
I've seen a demon hunter destroyed before other people could tag it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Great.
No, it's supposed to be overpowered. It's supposed to be just fun, but also it's cool for people who like weren't there necessarily to be able to be like, hey, yeah, we're gonna give you this time frame to only do Mists of Pandaria, which you can normally go back and do on your own as is, but this one lets everything be relevant to your character again.
Copy.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I didn't play Mr. Pandaria, so a lot of the
No, you
lore
didn't?
I've been learning. No, I came back during the tail end of Warlords of Draenor when they
Oh, right,
announced
right.
Legion. So
Okay.
I missed all that. I missed everything from Cataclysm to End of Warlords.
Okay, so you totally missed Mists of Pandaria.
Mm-hmm. But I did
Okay.
do it when it was in Legion because I did the Half Hill farm as a gold grind.
Yeah.
You know, and the Ghost Iron ore farming and selling all the materials. That's about it. But I didn't really
So I
experience
did
the lore
play-
of how Garrosh became the way he was.
Yeah, well, you know, being an asshole helps.
Right. Do you think there's any indication that they might try this with other expansions into the future?
I feel
would-
that they might.
I think so.
We got it pretty quickly after Plunderstorm. Like,
Yeah.
it's like they're trying to add more events, not just to the base game, but for people who maybe retail's not really their speed. Because there were a lot of people who enjoyed Plunderstorm, and they'd rather have played Plunderstorm, you know, than other stuff. There's a lot of people that's doing Remix right now, and people are like,
Question-
"Oh, they're having FOMO because of Remix." But I was like, "You have 100 days to get everything."
Yeah.
And they just buffed all the amount of bronze coins you get, which I'm sure they're gonna buff again as time goes on.
Sure.
Bronze being the currency you use to buy everything.
Yeah,
Like all your
mounts, your
transmogs,
toys,
your
your
mounts.
transmogs.
Yeah.
I've already got all the mounts.
There's a
but now
lot.
I'm working on toys. After I'm done with toys, I'm gonna work on
You already
transmogs.
have all the mounts? Jesus Christ, dude.
Just bought the last ones the other night.
And I'm gonna guess that those things are ones that are gonna stay on after the event, because that's just all cosmetic
Yes.
materials.
Yes, those are
Yeah.
account wide for you. Which
Yeah.
is
Oh,
part of the
great.
draw to it too. It's you're getting the ability to get not only just new mounts and recolors of mounts and stuff like that in transmogs, but like stuff that are really hard to get normally in the game.
Sure.
Also, I think the reason why they're doing this as well is because to set up War Within. The way they're gonna change the way transmogs work. I'm a rogue. I wear leather. I have nothing to do with plate or mail armor. Doesn't interest my character. But going forward, if I loot it, it becomes a part of my account, so that my plate wearers can wear that, or my Drakthir can wear it. I deleted my hunter because I have a Drakthir, because my Drakthir already wears mail. I don't need a hunter anymore. That's the only reason why I had a hunter in the first place.
How are
And then
you
the Drakthir
supposed
was
to?
introduced.
How are you supposed to jump off stairs?
There is a Tinker Gem for that.
Oh, that's fair.
I saw that and I instantly thought of you when I looted it. So that lives on.
Good.
It
But
did
yeah,
this
no,
for
I think the
you.
remix is fun. I think there's a couple things they could fix from it, like
Sure.
the rerolling characters.
Which they
that make
probably
new ones.
will, considering it's the first one. Like the next
Yeah.
Thunderstorm is probably gonna be better than the first one because they've learned from all the players that played it and all the feedback they've got.
The one
Right.
thing I have as a kind of nip in this butt is that
Yeah.
the only big problem I have with the remix is that it is hard to choose between playing retail to do things that are currently necessary for a character, like that might be going on. Maybe you want to be doing the seasonal content for Battlegrounds or something in current WoW or raids or whatever. Do I do that, or do I go do the remix, or do I try to split my time evenly between them to get both things done?
Okay.
I think the later we get into Remix, the easier it is because things are dying super fast. So it's like, oh, I'm gonna knock out some LFRs and we'll go back to retail. Also, the Midsummer Festival, I believe, is either starting or has started. So
Oh.
I gotta go do that as well on my characters to get all that gold. You know,
Sure.
but also the thing is, you feel so slow now when you go on retail.
Yeah.
You've got the zoomies in Remix, and then you get on retail and you're like, why can't I run as fast? Why can't I outrun a ground mount?
Reasons. Just reasons.
Anyways,
Yeah.
I think Nathan's falling asleep now.
I think he's ready.
This is
I'm
like when he
wowed
talks
out.
to me.
Yeah, I'm wowed out. But yeah, thanks, Teach. I feel like I really learned a lot about WoW today.
I feel like Nathan slept for this whole segment.
I feel
Yeah,
like he did too.
yeah.
He's gonna hear it in his dreams now. We're gonna be in his nightmares forever.
Listen, I learned all about remixes. This time on WoW, you get to finally play a DJ. Sounds pretty sweet to me. Get turntables. I'm a technomancer now.
Great. Hey, Klayton. Side note: I think they should redo the Caverns of Time to integrate the Infinite Dragonflight.
I would actually like to see that happen. We know how the story goes in Dragonflight, and Chromie is now best friends with one of the dragons, apparently. As far as I know. And Norris Dormu is working with the Infinite Dragonflight loosely in a
Time
sense.
shenanigans, Nathan. Time shenanigans.
It's always time.
So I wouldn't mind seeing that, because then they could add more to the Caverns of Time, where you could
Good.
they could give you
Absolutely.
a story with the Infinite Dragonflight that no one's ever experienced before.
Yeah.
Caverns of Time opens up a lot of possibilities.
And I enjoy
They
it.
could even do a scenario where you could relive a piece of the remix, not the whole thing, but you know.
Marty, don't go out to
Right.
to Caverns of Time. You're not gonna have. There's a clocked hour.
I feel like the Infinite Dragonflight's going to have a role to play in the future, especially going
I hope
into the
so.
War Within and the next 3 expansions.
I hope so.
It is infinite.
If you have been playing the World of Warcraft Pandaria remix at all, or have been interested or played WoW in the past, let us know what you think in the comments down below. Nathan's sleeping, so I guess
Listen,
hopefully you're not.
Also, let us know what you're playing in
Yes,
remix.
let us know what you're playing.
yeah, cause like
Let's
let's
on Battle Night.
And feel free to link your armory character for it,
Yeah,
so we can judge your
that was
character.
harshly.
harshly, sweet.
Harshly.
Cause like wow, man.
Great.
All the cool
Thanks
kids
for that
playing
input.
it.
Yep,
Yeah, that's why Nathan's not.
yeah. You gotta get in there for your wows.
I got the biggest selling point for you to play World of Warcraft.
Okay.
It has bears.
Our sharks too.
It has sharks
Yeah.
too.
Wait, no, it's not a selling point.
Does it have goats?
Or goats.
Oh, goats.
Hey,
and-
right now during the
sharks and
remix,
bears.
you can get multiple goat mounts.
Oh,
You can ride them. Riding goats.
I just want to stampede a bunch of goats. Right on.
Perfect. You can be a hunter and do nothing but tame goats.
Right into Duratar. Durgar, yeah.
You got it right the first time. Durotar.
Duratar. Yeah.
Named for Durotan, father of Thrall. Thank you.
And the only way you can go there is during the LFR raid. Siege of Orgrimmar.
Fair enough. Wow, man. That wore me out. I got my brain remixed. So, thank you all for joining us today on Total Pebble Knockdown. We learned a lot. And learning is half the battle. So there's that.
The other half is staying awake till the end of the
Yeah.
show.
Staying awake till the end of the show. One of the biggest battles. I should get. This was my raid battle right today. Listening to remix
You lost.
talk. I lost. That's okay. My DPS is 0. Alex, if folks wanted to find out more information about Total Pebble Knockdown, where could they go on the internet?
If you would like to find out more about Total Pebble Knockdown, please go to totalpebbлекnockdown.com.
When you get over there, you can even check out our Patreon. We have exclusive content over there, as well as full episodes of the show that come out early. And you can also find us on every podcast app known to mankind. And I will also throw this over before I continue to Klayton, because I do want to thank Klayton for coming on to the show. And Klayton, would you like to tell everybody where they could find you?
You can find me on X at KlaytonCalix. You can also find me on Blue Sky and Mastodon under the same name, as well as YouTube.
Perfect.
And Twitch.
And Twitch.
Don't forget the
Twitch for live streams, YouTube for Let's Plays and
Not
demos.
live stream.
Yeah, for the videos. Videos on YouTube
Videos that are not World of Warcraft related.
that are not World of Warcraft related. That's good. They do not get remixed.
I do enough of that on live streams.
Yeah. Sweet times. And then you can also find us on social media. I am at Titanium.
And I am at EXP Limited. Our show is at Pebble Knockdown.
Check us out over there for all of your pebbly needs. And with that said, I think we can put another Next Fest to bed, and we can keep on remixing until we can't remix no more. And I think that ties us over for a little bit. Folks, thank you for joining us on this episode of Total Pebble Knockdown, and we will catch you on the next one. Goodbye for now.
See ya.
See you later.
What the hell was that?
See you later.
We're gonna go tuck in Titanium now.
We got mascot voices now.
Oh, you
We're all gonna be the mascots from those horror games. We're gonna eat your brains. Goodbye, everybody.
So yummy.